Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Darcy's Misadventures with Mixed Media, and I am going to make some pages to use for some ephemera and some journal pages. Not sure what will happen with which, but I wanted to make some brown and blue pages. If you've seen my How Do You Do videos, which there will be more, I don't know if this one will come out before or after that series. But there is a How Do You Do series that I'm doing right now. Right now I'm trying, oh yes, it is in the bottle. I kept wondering if it was the bottle was the problem. I mean this container was the problem, but no, it's that this is 5 years old. That's the problem. That is the problem I'm having, and why I am having, I'm just putting a lot out. I don't usually put that much out. So yeah, right now I think I'm trying to finish up this gesso so I can buy more gesso, because why not? It's because, yeah, there's like big gloopy bits because it's been here for 5 years. So if you're wondering, gesso does eventually go bad. It dries up, so use your stuff. Don't let it sit around and waiting for a time when you might use it. Use it now, because supplies like paint and gesso and whatnot, they do go bad eventually. So, not everything does, but a lot of things do. So I'm just taking I was using this a minute ago. You can use any kind of scraper and just get some gesso on some brown paper. I've just taken a paper bag and cut it down into 6 more manageable size pieces. Some of these might be pages in a journal. I'm not sure, but mostly I just want to make some backgrounds so that I can make some more pieces of ephemera, or some people call it collage fodder, which is fine. If you look up the definition of collage fodder, there is a second definition which essentially just says referring to the word in front of it. Something like that. I can never remember exactly. But it's something basically like this. This just means it's talking about whatever the word in front of it is. So when you say collage fodder, you're just saying, I'm talking about stuff that is used for collage. Although embellishments and whatnot, use those on top of a collage. So I guess technically they could fall into that category. Although I like collage crumbs for, like, your scraps and stuff that are kind of like drop-offs from other pieces that you've made. I know some of you were like, I never thought you were going to use all of that gesso. But then she did. That giant pile of gesso. I don't know, would you even able to see how big that pile of gesso was? I can go through some gesso when I want to. So I am just using gesso. I was starting to say what gesso was. Our gesso is a primer. Usually you will see it. Generally it's used to prime canvases. And somebody asked me, and I know I answered this recently, but in case new people are watching, what is the difference between white acrylic paint and gesso? Basically, gesso is less opaque, so it's a little bit more see-through, semi-transparent, where most white acrylic paints are pretty opaque. Opaque means you can't see through it. And a little bit more chalky. You can kind of feel like a chalkiness to it. So I've got different amount of things on each one. So I'm going to dry these real quick because it is a little easier if they're dry. So I'm going to use my heat gun to dry them. I'll be right back. I won't put you through that. So I've only partially dried these because I want to scrape on another color of paint, which will be part of what I use in the journal. So I've got this blue-gray, and so and I don't mind if it mixes with some of the gesso in some spots. So I'm just gonna take that with the small scraper. Maybe is a little bit easier to use sometimes, and just add some of that here and there. If you saw my mixed media play, you're like, oh, you're starting just the same way you did there. Yeah, this is how I start a lot of my mixed media pieces. I might have mentioned that. No surprise. Just this one is just more subdued colors. It's going to be mostly blues and browns Specifically this blue, I think I want more. Because I made a journal topper with the how do you do stuff, and I want to make a journal with those colors, and so I'm just making my own designer papers basically, and making my own ephemera to go in it. So it will likely be another journal with no digitals. I know you guys like that. I'm not saying there won't be any cutesy things in there. There might be, and that's okay. I like cutesy. You don't have to. I know some of you don't. It's not just one of you. I know there's more than one of you. Just one of you might be a little more vocal than the others, and that's okay. I still love you. I think I said that in another video. Not to like point you out every time. Sorry. It's just that some people see those comments and think of them as negative, and they're really not. They're just a person stating their opinion, and that is fine. I'm okay with opinions. Opinions said in a nice way. And you know, they're nice if you're like, I love your channel, I just don't love this part, and that's okay. Alright, I like how it's picking up the wrinkles in there too, to give it, you know, some different things. I'm going to bringing some coffee into this. So that is one thing we did not do last time, was coffee. But I really like what happens when I play with the coffee crystals and water. So, and I will want that to kind of absorb into the paper too. So that will probably be my next layer. And I should dry these first. I don't know. I kind of want to get playing with I want to get playing with these. That's the problem. Is I'm very excited to play with these. Okay, so coffee. I've got some instant coffee here, and I'm just gonna, I know, I'm aware, my paint's not dry, it's okay. I'm gonna sprinkle some of that on there and grab any one of the 5 sprayers in this room. I'll just do this one. Oh shoot, oh, it's got plenty of water in there. Why is it not spraying? Sure, that's okay. Tim will come to the rescue. Kind of, unless this is the old one. Apparently my continuous sprayer is done. It has decided. This one, it prefers if you are upright with it. Oh, this is the old one, that's part of it. But yeah, it prefers it to be upright. So my paper bags are gonna stink. Wet paper bag is not a pleasant smell. I'm going to take this, also wet it, and just kind of like smush on top of this. The only thing with doing this for like pieces that you might write on or something would be that it's possible that these little coffee pieces are going to move, especially if you don't remove them completely or they don't dissolve completely, but that's okay. But I like these little dark splotches you get. I think that's really cool. That's kind of what I want for some of the ephemera that I'm going to cut out of this. And so I'm just going to do that on all the pages. Just take one page, sprinkle it with this is just Food Lion House Blend instant coffee is what we're going for here, and just kind of spreading it out here and there, trying to spread it as much as possible, not get too much of it on there, because the more you have, the more you're going to have to deal with afterwards. I'm thinking I might even, I don't think that's the color I want though. This is Chip Sapphire. I'm just going to try it. I don't think it's the blue that I want to use though, but I thought, well, if it wets, it's not wetting it. It's not wetting the coffee enough is the problem. Okay. It is bringing in another blue though, which is kind of nice. And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to take a second piece and wet it. Nope, my paint is not completely dry. That's okay. By wetting it, I'm just giving more places for the crystals and the ink and whatnot to react. Because if you put it on dry, I don't think you're going to get as much, especially, you know, with the coffee crystals and whatnot. And just kind of do that. And we are getting some nice brown and blue and tan and just all the different. Put that side to dry, and I got one more. I'm going to do the same thing. I really like the look, so I'm going to keep doing it, because whether I'm using it for ephemera or for pages, I think it's going to be really cool, or borders or whatever. Trying to think if there's any other inks I want to add. If I did, it would probably be, I don't know. If you haven't seen, I would pick it up and show you right now, but my hands are pretty dirty. This is the journal topper that I'm talking about. And that is, I'm basing a whole journal off that journal topper. The colors and a little bit of the style. It's going to be eclectic, because eclectic is what I do. Let's see, I don't know where my bottle of distilled water is, but that's okay. I've got this bottle here. Need to refill this. I could have paused to refill it, but I don't know. Sometimes the more I pause and whatnot, the more issues I have when I download it, because YouTube doesn't like all that. And then my sound gets, you know, if I have to like merge videos, that's when it gets really bad. So I was thinking of adding another color in here besides just the blue and brown. I was thinking of a little bit of the wild honey, because why not? So let's do that to these two. So this is wet, and I'm just gonna press it down on here. Just kind of smushing it down. And then I'll have to decide if I just want to let these dry naturally or use my heat gun to dry them, because I really want to take them upstairs and play with them and add some. I'm going to put this in on the bottom for a sec and spray this again, because I want kind of some of that thick brown bits to land on the other page as well. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to have these dry, and then I'm going to splatter. I'm going to do some splatters with probably some paints. I was thinking inks before, but I want to add some Payne's Gray and some Van Dyke Brown to it, so I'm probably going to do some splattering. So I'm going to heat gun these and be right back. While I'm drying this, I will probably add a little bit of vintage photo, like especially on the edges and just here and there. It's probably going to be gone after the second one. It's almost empty. Oh, and then also find another one that needs a little bit more brown to it maybe. And just kind of press that down too. Just get as much color as I can between the two. Alright, and continue drying these. Okay, I think I've got these at least dry enough to be able to do my splatters. I'm going to take Payne's Gray, Golden, and Van Dyke Golden separately and water them down a little bit and use a brush and just splatter. I might even use a paintbrush for which one. They're both dark. It doesn't matter. I do need something plastic, something easy, well, washable, but not that I ever wash it. Something that I can kind of. This is the brown, the Van Dyke Brown. I'm going to add a little bit of water. Oh, it's going to look a little bit green. That's okay. Just a little bit of water to it, and I'm just going to. I don't mind if it gets everywhere or somewheres. I'm just spraying it, and especially where there's like blank spots, where there's just paper bag, I'm especially, or a big patch of blue, that's where I'm concentrating. Doing this a little bit different than I would if it was a page in a journal. This is more likely going to be what I cut up for ephemera. So I'm doing more all over splatter than I would normally do. These are still damp. They're not completely dry, and that's alright. But also, you know, some places for the eye to rest is still good too. I mean, I don't know what's going to get cut out where, or what I mean, obviously there's going to be some mushrooms, because that's kind of what I've been doing. I'm in the fodder. I'm doing the current fodder school fodder challenge 2024. In that right now because they had a really good price. You only get access to the course until November 14th. But I thought for that price, I got an early bird special price. I'm not sure what the price is right now, but I was like, for that price, I am willing to try out this course and see what it's like, see if I like it. I did pay for another course a couple of years ago, and they did so many weeks on the chalk pastels, and after 2 weeks I was like, I'm not a fan of chalk pastels, and so I was a little disappointed, and I need to go finish at least that one. I've got, I can go back to that course whenever. I need to go back to that course and finish it. See, or at least find any classes that I would like. I know you're probably like, why are you taking courses? Well, we can always learn things and improve things, and you know, if I already know all the things that they teach me, it's fine. That's why I didn't want to pay too much. But I have already learned some things that have been helpful that I did not already know, that I could have probably found online if I looked for it, but wouldn't have necessarily thought to look for it either. So I am glad that I'm taking the course and enjoying it. And then, oh, they have Zoom calls too, like, so you can like craft together, ask questions or whatever. So Wendy's got a really cool course that she does. Let's just say that. Wendy, Willow Wanders, I think is how she goes online and whatnot. Okay, this one's still wet. So the ones that are wet are most likely going to take, you know, the splatters might spread a little bit and whatnot, but it's still gonna be cool. Now this does start to hurt my muscle there a little bit after a while. That's alright. It'll be worth it in the end, right? I mean, I'm probably gonna get tennis elbow from gel plate printing, and I'm getting tinier splatters now than I was before, and I'm good with that. Let's see, let's kind of wipe that off and move to the Payne's Gray. Stick this in the water. And how big of splatters do I want for this Payne's Gray? I don't know. I just know I want some darker blue in there. If I've got a lighter blue, navy blue, which the Payne's Gray is kind of sort of like a navy blue, is one of my go-to colors. You will find it in almost everything I do. Somewhere in my projects will likely be some navy blue or Payne's Gray blue. Now that I have it, that's going to be bigger splatters. I'm using a bigger brush. I'm actually using a watercolor brush here. Make sure I wash it. Probably, and I'm turning my papers so that my splatters go in all different directions. So there's that at this moment. And this is probably the last layer I'm going to do. Just the blue and brown splatters. Maybe some white splatters. I should do some white splatters too, shouldn't I? Maybe. If I do anything else, it'll be white splatters or some white spray. Because the white spray, especially on the wet pages, is going to do interesting things too. The spray, I mean, I've got the dilutions white, but I want to make sure that this is all dry before I go to that step. But I think we're good because we've got the light. I can always add splatters at the very end after the ephemera is done. You know, like if I want to add little white splatters or little gold splatters to the finished ephemera, I could do that at the end. I'm most of the ephemera I make, I'm going to be doing upstairs. See, when my husband's home from work, which is like, he only works 3 days a week, so he's home a lot. He really prefers I be upstairs with him. My studio is downstairs, so he likes when I'm upstairs. But my studio is downstairs. Or if there's like a day where I have errands to run, it makes it harder to get down to my studio. But this week, I didn't have a bunch of doctor's appointments like I did last week. I had like 2 doctor's appointments, and so that made it harder to get, because you know, going out in the day really takes a lot out of me. And then if I go to the grocery store too, then I'm just like done for the day. Oh, am I not showing you these? I'll show them to you. I'm almost done. This one's wet, alright. But I don't really want to... Oh, if I added a splatters maybe? Oh, and the other thing, if sometimes I like to use the... For white splatters, I like to use the bleed proof white. Is then the colors underneath aren't gonna... It'll stay brighter, I guess, is what I'm saying. And now, what I will probably do with this last bit of, does everybody have some? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hey, it's nice when I know how many pages I have because it's just helpful to know that I have all the pages to show you in the end. I'm gonna drip this on my drop paper here. It's acrylic paint. And so my drop paper will make for some really something cool to use down the road. I don't know if I want to move it around or, yeah, that's kind of cool. Alright, and I'll set that to dry. I'll leave it here to dry while I go upstairs and live my life. I can't add. I think that one was number 6. I don't think I showed you that one. Or it might have at the very beginning. Huh. Okay, now using one of these papers that I made in the video, plus a piece of drop paper, which I still had a piece of. I had this drop paper, so I used some of that. So a combination of those things, I made some mushrooms, which I couldn't make on screen because, well, I do know how to make mushrooms and I've made them in the past easily. There are a couple techniques I learned in the fodder challenge 2024 class that I can't show, which is basically how I shade these, which I actually did it different than she did because she used watercolors and I used alcohol inks. But so yeah, that was the main. And the idea to glue them down and then cut them out so that I could, I don't know, because I was just having them all be separate. So those are the only things that I learned in addition to what I already knew. So I have shown how I make mushrooms, or at least how I cut them out. And then these I just did on, I just glued them on the paper and used alcohol markers on the stems to enhance them. That's one of my favorites because there was some paint on the, so as you know, these are paper bag, and this was paper bag, had some paint on it, and it had some white paint on it, which made for a great little highlight, or even almost looks like lichen a little bit. Can you have lichen on a mushroom? I don't know. That one too. I don't know. These came out pretty cool, I think. Some of them have the, and then some of them I left a little bit of the background showing so that there would be like a highlight. Some of them I like that on, some of them not so much. It works really well when the page is ripped. That's when it works the best. That was my own take on it. My own little twist. But I am limited on what parts I can show you of the mushrooms if I do them on camera, because I don't want to lose my place in the class, you know, because there's just like some rules, which is a little frustrating because some of these things I already knew how to do before. So anything new that I use I probably won't show unless I find it somewhere else online and then can. So that flower, I just had this doodle and I just kind of glued that onto the page with the doodle and then colored in the doodle with the alcohol marker. And then this flower is actually different pieces put together to make the flower. And I may come in with some alcohol marker or something to just kind of put in some shading where there might be shading. I don't know. And then this piece, that's just, I saw this flower on there kind of. I don't love how this is doing its thing, so I'm not sure what I'll do with that, but I may bring in something else for the center maybe. That might work. Like what? I don't know. What about this piece here? Will it be big enough? Sort of. Almost. Just kind of give it an organic shape. Try to make it more, a little bit more like a cone flower. Alright, that doesn't want to, or a echinacea or whatever. Then I need to find another one for down there. I don't know. I just don't like that. It looks a little bit too bushy. Maybe I don't like the rip bit. Let's try cutting it and see if I like it better. I also don't want it perfectly straight either. Can you tell my husband's home? Yeah, he kind of walks loud. Oh, now it's kind of small, and that shows from behind it, which is not as bad as maybe. And a little doodling to just try to make it more like a cone flower, not lazy Susan, I don't know, less scribbly, or I could just fill in the scribbles is another thing I could do. Ooh, or I could just go over it with paint. That might be the easiest thing. Let's try that. A little bit of brush. Ow! That didn't hurt. I don't know why I said ow. It's just, you know, trying to do the scribbly bits just made it look, I'm sorry, made it look like, we'll just say underarm hair instead of the other word we could use. For lack of another word. And I did not like that look. Although I think some of you would find it très amusing and be like, no, keep it like that. So I'm just going to cover it with some paint. You make a mistake, it's no big deal. Just cover it with some paint. There we go. And I'll add something to that later to hopefully, do want to give this a little bit more of a, there we go. I don't know. Hopefully when it dries and I draw over, it'll look a little bit better.